Chapter 9, Captain's Log. The Celeste DLC is out. I don't know why we started like that. So the Celeste DLC is out. We've actually had a chance to try it now. And Nat, I can only kind of sum it up here with just a very short sentence of words.
Yep.
That's generally what sentences are made of. And that happens to go, I love this game.
So you have a love-hate relationship going on here at the moment.
Oh my goodness, Nat, so much. Like this game, every part of me is just like, it's so beautiful. The platforming, it's just perfect. And there's more of this game now, and I love it. And then as I'm playing it, I said words that I would never utter at anyone in my life.
You did actually, thinking back of your experience. There was definitely words that came out that I won't repeat.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you said, I hope you don't use those words on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, probably won't do that. So anyway, it's out, Nat. It is a free DLC. It's adding new levels, new music, and new fun.
It definitely is adding more fun and probably stress as well.
It added a lot more stress.
Yes.
I think the best part to this DLC, though, Nat, is that it is 100% free.
Yes.
And, like, it shouldn't be. In all rights, this shouldn't be free DLC. They put a lot of effort into this DLC. It's a big pack of DLC. This isn't like something small you're just going to slip through straight away.
And I feel that people really love Celeste, so I'm sure people would have been happy to throw down like maybe up to $10 or something for it.
Yeah, honestly, I would have paid $10 for this DLC. Like, I think it's worth that amount. And even, I think the developer, Matt Thorson, came out and said that basically, because the game has done so well, he's putting this out as a thank you to fans. To say, like, listen,
well, that's nice.
Yeah, like, I mean, that is really good of him. Like, just to say, thank you, we're going to do it for free because it's done so well. Here's a thank you. Absolutely did not need to do that. And so, like, hats off there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Super nice.
But yeah, like he just could have sold this separately and just actually made some cash off this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm excited to see what their next project is. Which the exciting part here is now, I guess it's exciting if you want to think about it this way. It's not actually going to be Celeste.
No, it's not. Well, you can kind of understand why. I mean, if you've spent however long making a game, you finally get it done. Everyone loves it. You kind of would want to work on something new, wouldn't you? You'd be like, I might come back to this in the future and make a second one. But, straight after, you'd be like, yeah, I think I want to dip my hand in something else.
I've talked about this in the past with, like, even developers like, who am I thinking here? Hat in Time.
Hat in Time, yeah.
I got to talk to Jonas Karlev, and he mentioned that, like, his next project, that's not Hat in Time. Because they especially if you're an indie developer, you work on a game for years, you pour your heart and soul into it.
Exactly.
You're just ready to try other creative avenues, I think. And so, like, that totally makes sense. I'm excited for them to try something new and see what they happen to come up with.
Yeah, I agree.
But back onto this DLC, Nat. So obviously it adds a new story, like along with all these new levels and the new music, which, by the way, the music, fantastic. Oh my goodness. They knock it out of the park every time they do this. But it adds some new mechanics to the game as well that actually mix things up and changes it.
Now, I'll let you explain the mechanics just because I haven't actually really played much of Celeste.
No, so you've only played like the part that we played together, like in Share the Joy mode, which by the way,
basically was me moving, so I wasn't actually doing any of the moves or anything.
Yeah, by the way, everyone, don't try that.
No, it was super hard. And then I did play a little bit of the 5th chapter the other day because I was going to jump straight into the DLC. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for it.
Oh my goodness, Nat. I'm not trying to talk Nat out of him. Like, talking it down. Stop, Nat.
Yeah, you're like, at least go and play the game first. To try and get a feel for it before you jump straight into the DLC.
Yeah, the DLC is there to be, because like to get into the DLC, you need to have completed the main game, and then that unlocks. None of the B-sides, none of the C-sides, which are the extra levels, just the main game. A-sides get through to start to finish, and this unlocks. And this is kind of the next challenge after you've actually done that. And so like it makes sense to do it after you've completed the main game, but for you to jump straight into it, I was kind of like, no, Nat, no, Natty.
I was too keen, apparently.
You definitely were keen as the bean to get into it. Yeah, but these new mechanics, Nat. So these are interesting. So like obviously in the main, like in the main game, like each kind of new level added some new mechanics himself, like bouncy clouds and just different things that you could do, blocks you could dash through. This mixes some of those mechanics into it, as well as adding these new mechanics like a jellyfish, first of all. So this one's a bit weird. It's almost like having a parachute. So you could hold it, but it's like almost, it's just a jellyfish, you hold it above you, and it'll make you descend slowly. And you can also use it to just like, if you dash into it, to gain a bit of height, or like gain a longer distance to jump or something like that. And so combining this with like throwing it into springs and off of walls to kind of get around and like higher places, it's used in really clever and fun ways. Although I will say this one in particular, in fact the next one here as well, did leave me in a few situations where I had to sit back and go, how do I get through this? What do I do?
I think I know what's coming up here.
The next mechanic. Yeah. You mean the blowfish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm definitely talking the blowfish next. Yep. But yeah, this is the jellyfish. Like I think this one in particular, including the blowfish, did leave me a few times just going, how do I get through this? And I didn't find that as much in the main game when I got through it. By the time I got to the end of the main game, most of the time I understood the screen as I was going through it. This one I was very much like, I'll jump a few times and go, head scratch a few times.
Yeah, you need to actually stop and have a bit more of a think about where you're going next, not just jump straight into it and try and get through it. So but I mean, it was enjoyable. It almost did add like a level of puzzle solving. So that was kind of enjoyable. And I like the jellyfish. Now, the pufferfish now, on the other hand, this is a... Yeah, I don't think you really like these fish, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So I mean, if we go with the choice names that I chose to call these fish several times, maybe I didn't like them as much. But I do think they were actually a really neat mechanic for them to add to the game, because they were these puffer fish, and there wasn't just like one thing they added. They actually had two kind of mechanics here. One is you jumped off the top of them and basically act like a bouncy pad, and it would push them down. So like depending where they are, they could push down to a spring or push down to whatever. And then the other mechanic is that if you were to come into anywhere in the bottom 180 degree radius of them, if you were to come anywhere close to them underneath, they would explode and just send you flying.
They're like, don't touch my underside.
Yeah, basically. And so like these would act like a bit of a, almost like a spring would when you hit a spring, but they'd use a radius and explode and send you flying around, and like you'd use that to get to a lot of places. And so when they start combining these together, jumping on top of the fish, and then like several times through tight spaces, and then doing that, and then having to explode on them like at a certain spot at the end to blast yourself somewhere else, that started to get really intense and hard.
Yeah, quite a few times. You got close to the end of the level and then you just hit the wrong part of the pufferfish and bam.
Yeah. And
it was all over.
Let's be perfectly honest here, Nat. I haven't finished the DLC.
No, you haven't.
I'm not up to the end of the DLC yet.
No.
Like I've probably played an hour and a half, and it's testing me.
Yeah, it's intense.
The reports are coming out that apparently like people are completing this in like 3 hours at the
You would
best.
have to be a super good player to complete it in
and like
3 hours.
I want to put this out that these are like the good players who are completing this in 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't expect myself to complete this in any less than like 7 or 8 hours.
I wouldn't expect me to complete it in probably less than... Let's not finish that sentence.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing reports of players who are doing it over 10 hours, like anywhere over that mark. So it's not uncommon. It's a hard DLC that they've added.
Yeah, definitely. Now, after watching you play it, I was like, ooh, I'm glad I didn't jump straight into that.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to turn people off too much because, like, obviously, there's a couple of things here that are going to make it easier. One is a feature that was in the main game, and that was an assist mode. So,
now, you didn't actually tell me about this. I had no idea there was an assist mode in Celeste. You just kept that quiet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
I'll watch her struggle through it.
I wanted you to learn to play Celeste the proper way, and you did. But now, so the assist mode is like just adding extra dashes, extra jumps, invincibility, stuff like this that you could add depending on how easy you want to make it for yourself.
Yeah.
Now you can do that if you want to try and just get through it and see the ending, and see the story. Because I mentioned ages ago at the start and forgot to bring it back up that there is a story to this, and it kind of puts a kind of bow over the whole thing and ties it off. So if you enjoy that.
I must admit, I do like when games do this, like add an easier mode for you so you can get through it if you do want to see the end of the story. I mean, I know these days you can obviously just jump on YouTube and watch it there, but like if you want to experience it for yourself.
Yeah, accessibility these days is a massive thing, and this is like when the game first came out, it's actually a big plus to actually doing it. Now the other thing that actually makes it just not even easier to get through but worth trying is the fact that it still ramps up that difficulty. It doesn't throw you in the deep end straight away. The first area, the first part of actually getting through this is all about learning the mechanics, finding out how to get through it, and then like you're just like, okay, here's how the fish works. Expand on that. Here's how the jellyfish works, and now you're gonna get in these springs and you're gonna figure that out. And so like it's all about expanding on those ideas, which is just fantastic. You know what I mean? Like they took those core principles that they took from the first areas or the first, I guess, part of the game and put them into this. They didn't just say, all right, here's your extra hard challenge. You're not jumping straight into a B-side or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, well, talking about those B-sides, so this DLC doesn't have B or C sides and it doesn't have strawberries to collect either. Now, does a part of you kind of wish they were in there to have that extra extra hard challenge, just in case, this wasn't hard enough for you?
So I found myself very thrown off, first of all, like because I've just been playing the main game, not seeing strawberries around there. I was like, oh, this is weird. Like, where's the strawberries, guys? I felt I always like collectibles and running off and jumping and like going, okay, I'm going to do this optional challenge to try and get that. But then after playing this, I kind of stepped back and I went, it didn't need them.
Yeah.
It's like the B-sides and the fact that it's such a challenge itself. I don't need optional challenges on top of these challenges to try find. And because it's not really that... I was going to say it's not really that find a secret game, but there are definitely secrets in this. And I've watched a couple of YouTube videos now just on a couple of things that are like, they're hidden in there.
So you've spoiled it for yourself.
Yeah, a little. I was never going to find them anyway. Let's be perfectly honest here. But there are some, like if people want to go hunting for it, or if you don't want to watch a YouTube video, there are a couple of secrets out there that you might be surprised about. And also now, I'm not sure how to unlock it. It's probably just beat it, but there is a golden strawberry run. I don't know. I don't think anyone's completed this yet. In fact, I almost know no one's completed this yet.
Because it's just too hard?
Yeah, or like maybe by the time this podcast goes up, someone would have.
Yeah.
But yeah, the golden strawberry run is basically, so you have when you collect the strawberries in the main game, you collect them and then you need to get back to a safe spot or to a certain spot on the map and you will collect that strawberry. Now in this, the golden strawberry run, you start from the start with a golden strawberry and you've got to make it all the way to the end with this strawberry.
Okay.
But in other words, without dying.
So I was going to say, if you get hit, obviously you lose the strawberry.
Exactly, and you're back at the start.
Okay, so it's basically get through the game without dying.
Like, hats off to anyone who does this.
Oh, definitely. That sounds impossible.
It sounds brutal. And I mean, like, lastly, there's other new mechanics they do out here. Like, in fact, a really interesting one is they add a wave dash, which is normally a speedrunning only technique. And they teach you how to do that in this DLC. And in fact, it's necessary to get through it.
Oh, wow.
So... yeah, it's interesting to say the least, Nat.
Yeah, well, it'd definitely be interesting to see speed runners to run this game.
Yeah, it definitely will be. So, like, all I got to say is that if you've played the main Celeste, download this DLC because you've just getting more of that and just you would love it.
I mean, well, why wouldn't you anyway? I mean, Celeste is a great game. The DLC is free, so and it makes sense.
The reason I say maybe is because, like, you will, if you're anything like me, you're going to love it.